Hello there, Ddraig back with another video and my continuing look at the End Times Overhaul by Virtutes. So, what I'll do now is I'll basically go over the campaign as a whole. I did not just I've got the Empire campaign on the screen at the moment. It's actually the first turn, but I'm just going to use this as an example of what you expect, sort of an overview of all the campaigns, and then I'm going to go into in depth with 5 of my own current campaigns as well. So first of all, let's have a look at some of the features. First one I want to talk about is Statesman. Now this is a mod that the Duke's made himself, and it's actually been built into the End Times, but you can get it you can get it as a standalone download for the vanilla experience if you'd like that. What this does is a negative every time you build a building or certain types of building. So as you can see, these are recruitment buildings, or usual. But if I move over to here, the smithy, you have vampiric corruption. And this has maintenance cost, so things have maintenance as well, because the more of a very posh building has these type of things. And as you can see, this brings chaos corruption, because magic is basically chaos, and that's what mages are trying to do. It's trying to manage the chaos. So when you build things like that, you get a negative. Food, Skaven corruption. So the more food you're going to generate, Skaven are come looking for food, so you got more Skaven corruption to deal with. Money is usually vampiric on the whole, because greedy. And then the tavern, so creating chaos and vampiric corruption. So this is across all mods, across all factions, and that varies on what it focuses on depending which factions you use. So I won't go through all of them because this video is going to be quite long anyway. So, but you get the picture. So for various buildings, like even with harbours, you get Skaven corruption, and I'll talk more about that and the significance of that in the rebellion section, which I've already recorded. So that's called Statesman. On the campaign on the whole, faction aversions, so that's when I say the natural enemies with each other, has been cranked up, to say the least. So undead and the dwarfs despise each other even more, and obviously we will declare war on each other even more. The vampires on the whole are quite aggressive, I found. Actually, I don't think I didn't continue the campaign, but in my high elf campaign I had a quick go. Only had a few turns, but on the second turn, the vampire coast landed right next to the main settlement and tried to attack me. Which is, I don't think I've ever seen any overhaul or any playthrough I've ever done. The vampire coast actually landed straight on Ulfran, right at the main base, threatening to attack. So obviously I kicked them out, but still, I thought that was quite interesting. Also, high elves and dark elves hate each other, really, to quote the Duke. So they're always going to be playing at war. So that's another thing. So a few tweaks here and there. It maybe isn't going to make changes as big as some of the other overhauls in general, but it does make significant changes. And one more I'm going to talk about. This is one of my favourites, and I believe SFO have just done this, but I haven't had enough played SFO enough recently since the new version has dropped, but that'll be coming in another video. Multiple armies. So, as we are aware, and this was being trialled in the recent beta of CA, trying to test some various things out, and people logged in, created their armies, and they were testing various features. One of them was to have no upkeep reduction when you have multiple armies. So I think it's about 3 or 4%. It costs more across the board when you recruit a new one. Actually, I can show you this now. So if I do quickly recruit a yard, oh, can I? Yes, I can. Let's recruit one of these. Oh, that's another feature. Glad I did that. I'll show you that in a minute, but I think you can guess. So with that done, supply lines, number 2 armies, number armies 2, army upkeep, nothing. additional upkeep, nothing. So whenever you make a new army, the only thing you've got to be aware of is how much they're going to cost. So obviously when you click on recruit yard, I can keep going now. Well, actually I think you only recruit 1 yard per turn, can't you? If memory serves. Well, obviously, because I can't do it. So that's the only thing you're going to pay. This initial cost and then obviously the upkeep. Very handy and very cool. And yeah, as you have better armies, much bigger. This is very good for Skaven, which I'll come to later when I look over my particular campaigns. The other thing I need to talk about. So when you create when you level up, every level you get 2 points. So in this case, the Arch Reactor. I don't think the Duke's tweaked any of the actual skill trees as far as I know. He might have tweaked some of the stats, but I don't think he's added anything as far as I can see. He may comment. He commented on my last one, so he might comment on this one saying he might plan to do it, he might not. Don't know. Anyway, so you got, he's just hit level 4, so he's got 6 points. So 3. So he's leveled up 3 times, 6 points. So you just put him in as always, but you get 2 for every level, and that's always as far as I am aware. I got reasonably far into our campaign, well, near the 50th turn, and I was getting up to 16, level 16, and I was still getting 2 points. So as far as I know, 2 points per level. And the other thing I just want to talk about, since that just popped, you might have seen Regiment to Renown. Now the Regiment to Renown have been reduced. Now in Vanilla, it's level 10 when you get your first batch. In the End Times, you get a lot quicker, which is interesting. Not something I was quite surprised to see, because virtually every overhaul I've played has never changed this. So interesting, quite a cool feature. You get some nice unique troops right at the start. You get some very powerful troops right at the start as well. So I think that covers most of the things I want to do in general for the campaign. So I'm going to leave it there, and then we're going to have a closer look at some other more campaign features. So another change to End Times mod, or End Times Overhaul by the Duke, is when you want to settle ruins. So here's a bit through my Empire campaign, and I noticed this change, so I thought I would save it so I can show you. So I don't go over the campaign itself because I'll do that in the actual main bit. This is just a quick show and tell. So when I go and take this, colonize 2,000, but, and this is the key, I don't use any troops. Now, I've always found this annoying in the vanilla, and quite a lot of the overhauls don't change this. And it really has always bugged me. Pet peeve, I think. So, as I'm sure you're aware, that when you settle somewhere, half your troops disappear. Apparently, when you're going to settle a new place, you're going to use your military to settle it, which makes no sense. You just wouldn't do it. You'd say, right, I would capture it, hold it with the army, and then get a load of colonists to come in, settle there, and then build up. That's what I would do. That's what makes sense. It makes zero sense when you colonize it with your army. Of course, you could suggest that it's actually colonizing the garrison, which, okay, maybe, but because it's pretty much going to be a basic settlement, like it's pretty much ruins at the start, so you wouldn't have a garrison of much anyway. And of course, when you do capture it, that is reflected in that state. It's basically level 1 settlement, nothing there whatsoever because it's a fresh one. So it always bugged me. So I'm really glad that the End Times addressed this, and you can just colonize it straight off like that. It costs 2,000, so it's roughly the same price as it would normally. So when I colonize this now, I have Carrick Asgol. See, there's nothing there. Garrison is non-existent because I have to build it up using a population. This is why it never made sense. And of course, my army is intact. So now I can hold this area properly. Like before, it's one of those risky manoeuvres in Warhammer 2. You find a ruin you want to settle, you settle it, but then you got to take into account that you maybe have to have a backup army to defend it if there's any enemies nearby. It was especially irritating when you're facing the Chaos and the Beastmen who create these ruins constantly. And yeah, like I said, it always bugged me. So really glad that a mod has suggested this. I'm not sure if the new version of SFO does it, which I'm going to be looking at after I've finished with the End Times. But anyway, so a key part of this campaign I thought, and a key part of this mod, and I just wanted to highlight it. So there you go. So, Rebellions. Something that I'm sure everybody who's ever played Total War Warhammer 2 will know, and actually any Total War game, happens now and again. You get your... Where's he gone? There it is. Yeah, public order. Gets quite high, hits 100, minus 100, and you get an army in the middle. It's usually pretty low. As long as you get it, as long as you got an army handy, nearby, it's usually you only got a quarter of a stack, maybe 6 or 7 troops, 6 or 7 units. Go in there, take it out, job done. Now in the End Times mod, this has changed quite significantly. Now, as you can see, this is part 3 through Muscaven, 41 turns, and I got a Rebellion. That's because I was being greedy, and I'm at war against Tequus. Now I'm not going to go even more into more detail than that because I'll be going over that a bit later on. What I wanted to do was highlight what happens when a rebellion happens. As you can see, I've had 2 armies here. Now this is... So I've ended the turn, obviously, end turn, it's gone through the thing, and immediately this unit, this army, was spawned, and this army was spawned. What search? Good name. So this one immediately attacked Yord Skog. Now if memory serves, it was an ambush. Like I said before, like I've said, I get to our campaigns. I was trying to get to 50, but it was taking way too long because I was fighting so much, playing all these battles, and actually learning quite a bit. I thought I'll stick with what I've got. Anyway, side point. So this one ambushed Yord Skog straight from the off, and this unit was army attacked my capital all at the same time. So as soon as I ended the turn, Rebellion was spawned, and they both spawned, so that's 2 nearer full stacks. So that one had 17, which was a tough fight because it just kept coming. They had so many troops, as in Skaven. And then we got another quite strong Rebellion troops here. Can't see all of it, unfortunately, but you can see you got pretty much got rat ogres, you got some some gut runners, assassins, and a master assassin of Rat Surge. So you have to pay very close attention to your rebellions. Now it's the same for all factions. It varies depending on what. Well, but if you get a rebellion, you're going to get a couple of full stacks. Depending how many, I think it's based on how many settlements you own in the province, maybe, or it might be just a default of 2. Not exactly sure about that bit, but just wanted to highlight this. So. Rebellions, not as easy as you think anymore. So we've gone over the general campaign features. So that's obviously across the board. Not all of them, but I've got across a fair few. So now I'm going to go into some of my own campaigns. So I think I've got 5 to show you, 4 or 5. And this is, I did say my unit video would be around 50 turns plus, but because some of these some of the campaigns are taking quite a long time, and a lot of fighting to do, it's taking me longer than I thought. So I've hit roughly the 40 plus 1 instead. So obviously this is only the early game I'm showing you, and so I'm going to show you the end, towards 100 turns plus. I haven't decided not to show you that because it would take me weeks to actually research it all and do the campaigns, and I wanted a fair selection. So, Bretonia. This is one of my campaigns. This is one of my more recent campaigns, actually. This is actually one that is quite fresh in my mind. So, how's things going? Well, first thing I want to say, and few turns back, I can't remember. I confederated with the Bretonian new army here. Can't remember the code off the top of my head. It's the air one. Can't remember. Anyway, so I did that. That happens pretty much the same way. Oh, on the whole, by the way, the tech tree is exactly the same. I don't think there's any changes. There'll be tweaks here and there, but it's vanilla tech trees. Anyway, so confederate these, And as you know, when you confederate, you get a ton of negative. So I've been concentrating on this, and so I thought, okay, what's going on? Is this a bug? Am I going mad here? I deleted those 2 armies, I only had those 2 my original 2, and I looked up here, and this was happening. And this is actually a bit further on, because at the start of this campaign, if you've played a Bretonnia campaign, there's something called the Greenskins insertion, I think it's called, or something like that. And for the first 20 turns, you get quite a big negative on your campaign. You public order, and then you get rebellions, and the Greenskins come. So, as far as Bretonia's one of my. I do like Bretonnia. I do like the Cav. So, it was quite surprising to find out in this one, didn't have a single Greenskins incursion, not one. The first start of a turn, I did nothing. I was at war with Merenberg. I was half tempted to go and have a word, but I thought, you know what, I'll be friends with him instead. So I did that instead. So I was pretty much stuck. I didn't have much money coming in. I had a bit, but not much. And the best way to get money was to go and fight somebody. So I thought, tell you what, I'm going to raise Norska's Eye of Whites here, which is Eye of White is actually a place in the UK, but anyway, beside the point. And so it's probably just a play on words than that. So, did that, came back, and obviously Norska not happy, on the whole, unsurprisingly. And yeah, the rating here, for 9,515. What the hell? It's like, I don't think I've ever seen that much raiding by any faction, any playthrough I've ever done, as far as I can think of. Because that is a substantial bit of raiding. Now, I did play a couple more turns after this, and that dropped quite significantly, and then the next turn it went back up to about 5,000. So I don't know what that's about. Hopefully Rajuku might be able to fill me in on why that happened. I can't see a way of breaking this down to find out why that is so high. I presume he's not that high ever either. So, don't know. What it is battered my economy, hasn't it? Let's be fair. So obviously, I moved Ian Kerr back up the top to deal with him. Anyway, so how am I doing this campaign? Let's get back onto focus. So it's quite a quiet campaign. So I basically, to do something, I went to kill somebody randomly. Might as well be Norska, because they always tend to come raiding at some point. And so merged with them, and then I did try to merge ENA, but Musion took it off. Undeads are very aggressive in this mod, I found. You see it in my Empire campaign, how aggressive they are. And yeah, don't very rarely go from outside Mission. They do occasionally on some overhauls, but very rare. But in this one, quite early doors, I think it was 30 turns in, they took it over. So I'm trying to get that back for them. And then I'm coming down here and trying to deal with this. When I got here, Palvon actually was owned by Palvon, the Bretonnian faction, and the Wood Elves took it over for reasons. I know there's a bit of a history of Wood Elves and Palvon, these two particular Bretonnian, this particular Bretonnian faction in the game, and I believe in history or in lore. So not exactly sure what it's about, but yeah. As soon as I got there, 3 or 4 stacks, took over, took it. So they're gone. So now I've got to decide. I'm thinking about peace with them at the moment. Can't honestly remember. Can I see that? Yeah, I'm neutral with them, not at war with them. So, not sure what I'm going to do about that. My next... obviously I'm not going to probably continue most of these campaigns, but I'm probably going to keep them safe because they're quite nice to come back to continue it. So, yeah, it's an interesting campaign. So what about the armies themselves? What about the fights? The most important things, of course. So, but I haven't actually got any peasants at all in this one. I quite like my expendable units, but I haven't actually tried them. I found on the whole they hold quite well, which surprised me. Excuse me. All these units held the front line reasonably well. Artillery is still devastating, even though and their range is ridiculous, 800 for field treble range. So pretty much that's the backbone. When you get 2 of those at the start, which is ridiculously handy. Pegasus Knights, 2 really high impact units, very handy, and of course some Knights as well. Knights of Rome. So they pretty much play Bretonnia as you would normally. So let's have a quick look at my other army I've got. So these are Squires. I'm going to upgrade them and get some normal cavalry. I'm going to get some Knights of the Realm because he did because he's not my Edge of the Order. He was something that the computer AI created. So he's got this vow, which reduces upkeep for those particular units. So I'm going to take advantage of that and build that up. Squires are the new unit, which you saw if you saw my unit overall video, or all new units. This is the cheapest mounted units, which do not take the peasant economy, which is vital, I find, for this particular faction, for obvious reasons. So it's going reasonably well. Yeah, this is one of my better campaigns I'm going through. You're going to see from the others, it's not going as well. So with that being said, I think I've covered everything with this campaign. So yeah, I'm not major shocked with how the fights play out. I wouldn't say they're massively different. They're much younger, and that's across the board. There are obviously differences, but on some of the factions I did notice quite a big difference. Bretonnia, yes, they will break. Not massively quick though when it comes to these units. Of interest, let's have a quick look at the peasants. If I can find one, there they are. What's their leadership? Their leadership's still quite high. Now saying that, if they get attacked from behind, they're gone. They're going to break immediately. So there you go. So that is my Bretonnian campaign. So onto my Dwarfs now. Second campaign, and this one is definitely not going well. But it started off really well, so let's have a closer look. So I decided to go as Grombrindle, because I usually go as Thorgrim or sometimes as Caradrin, and that Yord, which I cannot remember his name, Ungrim, there we go. But I decided to go for the White Dwarf for a change of pace, and yeah, started off quite steady really. There he is. Miners are really awesome in this mod. I really liked it. Especially the Wallbreaker trait. If you haven't seen my Siege video, which I just go through for the End Times Siege, which I did with this particular army, which I was fighting against Mount Gunbad, check it out. It gets you on the actual battle and shows you some interesting mechanics when it comes to sieges. I actually quite enjoyed that siege, and a couple of sieges I've played. I've enjoyed it. I have to admit, I've enjoyed more than I would vanilla. But anyway, back to this campaign and this map. Grombrindle here has got a decent army. So I started off crewing out the first province, as pretty much every single Dowie does. Miners, backbone, got the Aqua Miners. These Iron Drakes are awesome, really powerful, very good at frame attacks, similar to the ones the warp forwards in the Skaven. Catapults, very handy. Don't have an issue with them with the Iron of Sight or the arc of the actual shell, which is a bit more problematic when it comes to artillery, which I'll explain in the Empire part. And Gyrocopter, very powerful, very handy for getting some sneaky attacks into the rear troops. So everything was going well. So I thought, do I deal with this yacht or do I deal with this yacht? So I thought, let's deal with the north first. Because one, if I can push out far enough, I can get into Caradrin and team up with them, and there's Zuthbar here. It went well. Took around Gunbad. Not as you saw from that battle, it was quite interesting. Not bad. Then quickly moved over, took one peek. They've threatened to come this way but haven't bothered, so I've left them as it is for now. And I found had a chance to merge a Zuthbar confederate. So I did. And the Skaven decided to annoy me. And they absolutely annihilated an army here. It was an ambush fight, and it was the most Skaven ambush fight I've ever seen. Pretty much, I can't remember my exact composition. It was not one I created because it was one of Zuthbar's original armies. This is one of mine, if memory serves. This is my Rune Yord, isn't it? No, it's not. It's my Yord. Might have been one of my armies, actually. No, it wasn't. It wasn't my army. Anyway, beside the point. So I had a pretty basic low-tier dwarf army, nothing special. Dwarf warriors, a few miners, and 4 crawlers, I think. Something similar to this, actually. And they surrounded me, as an ambush would, but they kept coming. Skaven upon Skaven. I was swarmed, I was overrun, and exactly how Skaven should be played. If you later on you see my Skaven campaign, and I emphasise that they're great at overwhelming. The troops are rubbish. Even the high tier troops are not great compared to some of these. Like your basic dwarf warrior, as you see here, has 70 melee defense, and you can boost that up quite easily with various stat increases from your Yord. Actually, I think on Grand Window I've boosted it up. Oh, maybe not, but they're very solid troops. Might not hit that hard. Well, they hit reasonably hard, but nothing special. And yeah. It was a really interesting Skaven fight because I just could not get a kill enough to win that fight. I got up to, I'd clear one flank and then another yacht would come in from the back and attack. I don't know how many I faced. It must have been 3,000, and I had about 1,000 maybe. Probably less than 1,000. It's a great fight, even though I lost. Anyway, I lost that. I took a call off, but I don't think I've got a piece of these yet. Or have I decided not to have a piece of pure malice and grudging? No, I think I've actually got a piece of them. Yeah, I have. I rust out and got a piece of them. Now let's nip back to my settlement. So that went reasonably well. And I completely ignored the greenskins below me. Until at one point, old Warzag here decided to be brutal and cunning and appear here. I only realised a bit too late, but I managed to get an army there. A basic one, I think it was this one. Yeah, it was this one. That's my Rune Yord. And I just cannot cope. There's just too many of them. So I had to forfeit that, and I fell back. And then this appeared. I thought, oh, this is just taking the mick, surely. As this is that army that attacked Mount Squighorn. 2 giants, which as you can see I nearly killed. I did kill a Ragnarok, I think. Black Orcs was terrifying, because I could not kill them. Trolls were equally terrifying, because you couldn't kill them either. And just a Doom Diver, as we all know, are irritating as oh hell. And now we got another army just below them. So I am in severe trouble here. I'm not sure if I can get out of it. The only saving grace is that Kazarak is Karak even. Garrison is pretty epic, and as I mentioned, I think I mentioned. Oh, actually, that's my next video. I've recorded these in a bit of a weird order. That they're very unique garrisons, and as you can see, they're pretty much tailor-made to each one. The Duke's gone over them and tweaked the garrisons to be a bit more fitting for that area. So I thought it was quite a nice touch. So that's my only saving grace. Like, this is quite a beastly place to attack. And I can actually, it's got 5 population. I can actually boost that up when I get enough money. Interesting. Anyway, so that is where I stand, right in the middle of a greenskin hug. Let's be fair. Greenskins to the left, greenskins to the right, and cute tune. So yeah, not exactly sure what I'm going to do with this one. I've got the grudges are mounting up, and I've got a good income. Income hasn't been a problem with dwarfs, never is, no matter what overhaul I play. It's always easy with the dwarfs. But Tony's one, because it's going so well, has got a ridiculous amount of money. And you'll see in the other campaigns how I'm getting all of the cash flow there. So yeah, interesting. Very interesting. Whether I can hold this off, not sure. Might be an interesting fight though. Maybe definitely. I don't think I can, because I've brought Gumbindo back. He was up here, purging the greenskins up here. I may be able to do it, possibly. But anyway, that's where I am with my dwarf campaign. So on to my Empire campaign now, and as you can see, things aren't going well here either. Mud events. Mr. Carl Franz has had a bit of an awkward encounter with the vampires. So, as you saw right at the beginning of this video, I used the Empire as an example of some of the game's mechanics. So this is turn 39-ish, about turn 39. And I made steady progress in this campaign until I hit a wall of undead. I'll come to that in a minute. So as is traditional for Empire campaigns, you take your province. So I've done that. Had good relations across the board with most people. Got some good trade. Actually, trade is really good. Need 2,000 at the moment. And my settlement is building nicely. That's where the good news stops. So, after taking this province, I also took out the X-Bite Pass as well, just to secure my yacht. The only possible problem on this side is, of course, the Kenwa with his faction, and I also dealt with the Greenskins quickly as well. Excuse me. So all was going well here. Then I look to my right, and I see a sea of undead. So as you can see, they've been busy. Very busy. And actually the east side of the centre of the Empire is a bit of a problem at the moment, because the vampires have gone mad. Very aggressively moving around. Now one of the things I wanted to point out, what I remember, during the campaign, for movement, some factions have more speed than others. And I haven't actually tried a vampire count campaign, but I have read from the Duke's notes that they can move farther than most factions because they're undead, so they don't need to sweep or eat. So they can, to represent that, they can push out quite far. Makes sense to me. Yes, sense when you're on the receiving end of such vampires. So I decided to push back. They hit Kemperbrad. I thought, right then, that's it, had enough. Got Karl Franz, and I took Kemperbrad, and then they countered with these two, which I lost, very simply. It was quite difficult. One thing I remember, I haven't said it in a Dwarfs campaign, the artillery is really powerful. Getting to work can be a bit annoying, I found. That's mainly because of the OR of the cannon. So getting a nice place to position it, to actually get some decent value out of it, it's quite difficult. The catapults, easy. Catapults. Trebuchet, like in the Batonian one, easy. But with the cannons themselves, I found it a bit more of a struggle. Just a small note there. I'm sure it's doable, and probably a bit more practice on the mod, I could probably, hopefully get it sorted. But yeah, in the meantime, so my first loss, Volkmar has just repelled these two undead armies. Thankfully, because as soon as they appeared, another unit came from over here. I didn't realise they had an army here. I should have done what I should do, and note to everybody, don't do what I do. Always make sure you do some research before you start combat with these people. Make sure you've got, excuse me, done some scouting. So scout out the entire area, and I didn't do that. I just went in for going, it'd be fine. It wasn't fine. It was definitely very unfine. So, yeah. If you ever, there's always the classic, it's Undead v Empire, and then the Undead storm over like one of your books, which I have read. I believe I've read anyway. yeah, the Vampire Counts Omnibus series, the Warhammer Chronicles. I've read that book. Quite a good book, by the way. I recommend that. Especially if you like vampires, and I do like a vampire story. Vrad, I think, made it to Krogstad, I can't remember which settlement it was, and he died because he got pushed off a cliff by pushed off the battlements by some warrior priest, and on a stake. He didn't have his ring on him, dead, and that slowly cut out the entire faction, and Empire pushed him back. And I'm kind of reliving that at the moment, I'll be honest, because I think Vrad is in one of these. No, I think I killed Vrad in that battle. He'll be back, but I killed him, so no doubt he'll be back. I think we killed. Yeah, that was a close fight. That was very, very close. If I didn't have Voltmar, and I'm pretty much at each force, I lost. This was about 15 or 16 stack, I believe, and yeah, it's a close fight. So a quick I would show you all my armies, but I've only got one, so that's that one, and that's just been weakened. Pistiers, another note, don't have so they don't automatically fall back. They don't, like some range, like say in Vanilla, if you hold them, because they're so quick, if you put them in front of the enemy, they retreat backwards. It's not a great mechanic. The AI doesn't get it right. It doesn't get it right a bit of a time, and sometimes it doesn't. As long as you keep an eye on it, it's not too bad. They don't have that mechanic at all in this version of this overhaul in the End Times. And like they say, they ought to get used to, because I keep forgetting, and I'm just so used to having that mechanic already switched on, and time and time again I use this unit, and they're so powerful. Dual pistols, 100 like that missile strength and that range. So just be aware, and I think I might mention this in my unit video as well, that check when you start setting up your army that which units can actually fall back. Not a lot, very few of them can actually fall back, especially for the Empire. I think I haven't played the Wood Elves, so I presume they have that, because that's a Wood Elf thing. Like probably the Deep Road Scouts and the Way Watchers probably would have that. But other than that, I'm not sure what to do with this campaign. I'm tempted to give us a go and see if I can resurrect it in the classic Legend of Total War style. But he's a lot better player than I am, so possibly not. But yeah, I might give it a go. Because I do like the Empire playthroughs. I always like to play an Empire playthrough on any overhauls. But the ones I've chosen here are all factions I enjoy playing and I know quite well. That's why I choose them, if you're wondering. So where do I go from here? Let's have a quick discussion with myself on where I think I would do. I'm nearly pretty sure this is gonna. I think I've had one pop up. No, I haven't. I need to confederate with somebody fast, preferably with a decent army, so I can actually get some even more growth and get some. I need to recruit a lot of units here. And I've started a small unit here, small army, just to defend this, because I wasn't sure where these two were going to go. They're going either here, they're about here. I'm not sure they're going for Grunberg. Thankfully they went for Grunberg, because that's actually defensible. Or Obersack. This army would never have done it in a million years. Speaking of garrisons, this is something I wanted to point out. Garrisons have been pretty much completely overhauled in Warhammer. And End Times, sorry. And if you notice here, Waystalker, Empire Captain, Thane. Now I'm presuming, don't hold me to this, I'm presuming this is to represent the Vermintide 2. I think it's, yeah, Warhammer Vermintide 2 game. And all these heroes are based in Obersack. I presume it's like that, which if it is, and that's quite a cool touch. I quite like that, it's quite unique, and I haven't seen that before. A lot of mods do change their garrisons, but that's made it a bit interesting with a ton of heroes. Anyway, just a nice little touch, I wanted to point that out. So yeah, I might try completing this campaign at a later point, but got other videos to do, so I'll keep it saved, like I do most of my replays, and we'll see how we go. So yeah, that's just a brief overview of my Empire campaign. So, my Isman campaign. How am I getting on with this? Well, compared to the Empire and the Dwarfs, actually pretty well for a change. So it does show I can actually play the game now and again. So, well, apart from one small problem, Mazdamundi has just decided to go and visit, have a quick chat with the various gods and come back a bit later on. Because he just died. So he'll be back in a few turns. I'll come back to that though. That's another story. So, this campaign. One of my favourite campaigns. And I do like Mazdamundi as the Additonal Horde. So, quickly took Ziggurat to Dawn and Skeggy, got rid of Norse influence here. And then I turned my attention to the Fallen Gates. And obviously that's where the Skaven hang out. So I had a bit of a 1-2 with Skaven, quite a good battle, I have to admit. But I had 2 armies by then. So I think it wasn't this, I'm not exactly sure which army. I've changed armies quite a bit recently. But yeah, Mazdamundi and another army took that reasonably easy, and then we had a bit of a Skaven issue up here still because they took it off the Dark Elves. So we pushed up here, took it off them, and then we had a bit of a to and fro with the Dark Elves themselves because we had a bit of an issue in this area. If I click on this army here, you can see that the unit with punishment is terrible. Now, one of the reasons is, one, it's unfamiliar territory. This is due to how, and it's a great example of how the End Times changes. A few tweaks here and there really makes a big difference. And as you can see, minus 15% to the local armies, because it's an uninhabitable climate. So to compensate for that, you have to ramp up your own ones. And I didn't really realise this. So I had to keep popping back into my original settlements just to get a good recap, to get a good, what's it called? Troops replenishment. Without it, I ain't going to be sitting there for 85 turns yet, to be fair. So I'm trying to secure this area, which I now have. Took it off for Dark Elves. Not too bad. Dark Elves are quite interesting to fight because of that huge damage spike they have towards the end of a fight. And if you haven't got enough of the troops down, they can be pretty annoying to get rid of. But anyway, managed to get rid of them. And so I took that early doors and I went up and did this. I did have had a bit of trouble with Norska because there's been a Norscan raging army down here. A rampaging army. And they took Iron Spike and burned it to the ground. And with a bit of High Elves helped me take this back because that was taken again by the Dark Elves. Pushed them back, with help with them, and they decided to take Iron Spike, which is a bit annoying because I wanted the province for myself. But annoying the High Elves is probably never a good idea, and as you can see, they've got their own issues, as Hellbron is having to go over there. But on the whole, on great terms with the High Elves, half an hour's a good mate of mine, and all the ones are generally following to my way of thinking, following the great plan. I've been friends with the New World Cornies since the start. They're actually allied to me. And I thought I could fight them. But I decided early on I'm just going to get rid of Norse, get rid of Skaven. And I've decided just to keep them as my mates. Because why not? So that's now taken. And I'm quite happy up here. I've got a nice buffer zone with Alpha and R. Who's really spread his wings. He's obviously on a very big campaign to get rid of all the Dark Elves. And good for him. I'm all for that. So he can concentrate on doing that. And as I mentioned at the start, Mazdamundi died. Now, the reason he died, and there was a rogue army here, and it's a mix of mainly chaos, forsaking a few other things. And that was one of the closest fights I've had in this version, since I've been testing out. Because with those marks, which I mentioned in my unit model, my unit video, really made a huge difference. The Forsaken were terribly difficult to get rid of, and they hit like trucks. And that was the only Yeet Chaos unit they had. They didn't have any Chaos Warriors. If they had, I would not have even come close to nearly winning it, because at the end, it was Mazdamundi. It was this army actually. Mazdamundi, 1 Bastiodon. Actually, it might have been 2 Bastiodons. No, they killed one of the Bastiodons. That Bastiodon and Eugene Chaco And as soon as Master Mundi died, a bit later on, they just routed. So it was about 2 units each. It was that close. So I was a bit annoyed about that, to say the least. So, yeah, Master Mundi will be back. But this campaign's been quite good, quite enjoyable. The Yisman themselves fight how you kind of expect them to fight. They've got good fast units in the Skinks. They're pretty solid basic units, to be fair. They're almost Dwarf standard, so they're pretty decent. These are all buffed though, from... might not be buffed that much actually. They'll be buffed through some of my tech I've put into them. That's a quick look. Yeah, weapon strength has been boosted a bit, but not too bad. Other than that, Corkscrews are really good. The Bastillions are just walking tanks, like I mentioned in my unit guide. They're brilliant. I put those right at the front and then just charge them in, and they just can't get rid of them. Unless they got an anti-yard threat, they got no chance against them. Or a missiles threat. Missiles will rip them apart eventually. But even that, we've got armor 140. So I haven't faced any gunpowder weapons in this particular campaign, so been pretty easy to keep them alive. So that's about it, really. An interesting campaign it's been. It's only early doors, like all these campaigns. Can't really test. I could test them, but this video I would have to work over about 3 or 4 weeks just to get the best out of it. So it's just a taster of these campaigns. That's the basic reasoning for them. So I think I've covered everything I need to cover. So I'm going to leave it there and move on to the next faction. And last by no means least, my Skaven. So this campaign, we've had 2 bad campaigns, we've had 2 good ones, and this is the one that's in the middle. So going well to a point. So what happened? So I started off down here, the old Squawk, and I quickly took the Mangrove Coast, and then moved up and took out the Dark Elf faction here, which took a bit longer than I should have done this a bit quicker, but there you go. Dark Elves are quite difficult to face. When they hit the Murderous Prowess, so when they get a buff towards the end of the battle, they really do hit really hard, and it is quite scary. So if you're not really on top of that point, it can definitely make you use more units than you might expect. So definitely be aware of that. Anyway, I took over there, I took over here. Then, so I had this entire province, quite late on, and I thought, right, do I deal with these? And it turns out I hadn't dealt with the Dark Elves. The Dark Elves came back, took that one, and then pushed me back here. And I tried to take Chipiato. By then, I'd already committed and taken the Star Tower, so I had 2 armies up here. Like, here's one of them, Roxmo. He's been carving his way through here. A brilliant unit, by the way. I have Watwing guns, and in this mod they're scary. Getting the line of sight and getting the angle right, as I have mentioned in the previous campaigns, is the difficult part. But they're really good, and I get to their battles in a minute because they're quite interesting. So I took the Star Tower, and I agreed to the Fuming Serpent. Now the High Elves at this point had enough of this, and then pushed down to take this one. Now I'm very close to taking this back, and as you can see, by now, because all of this conflict created much more public order problems, and as I've mentioned, and this is actually the campaign I showed off earlier, with the various issues I had with the public order and what happens when you get a rebellion. So just to point out what happens. So this is good that you get Scheme and Corruption. Get a lot of Scheme and Corruption, but occasionally you get Untainted, like in that one. You get Untainted 3, etc, etc. So you get Untainted when you build various factory unit making buildings. And also get from making money and things like that, much like every other faction. So that rebellion happened. That pushed me back quite severely, and this is still the part of that rebellion, Rat Surge. And as you can see, actually from my, like I mentioned before, the rebellion. Yeah, I couldn't see this army. Now look at this army. It's pretty scary. 3 catapults, 4 units of Rat Ogres and some Gutter Runners and some basic units and some Plague Monks as well and an Assassin. Now they're going to be fighting against Oxrato. Now let's have a quick look at their garrison. Like in the Empire, these have been redone. Actually, I think I've already repelled one attack against this. Maybe? I think I have. Can't remember. So I've pushed a lot of my units down here to try to deal with this. And I'm pretty sure I can. Then I can take this and actually get this province back to where it should be. Under Skaven rule. Under the iron paw of the Skaven. I'm reading Gold Tricks of Furious at the moment, so that's why I've got some of the phrases from those books. The first omnibus, so very good. Quite enjoying it. Anyway, enough about plugging the Warhammer Chronicle books. So, let's look at my quick look at my armies. Now, as you might have guessed, Skaven Spears are very cheap to run. Combats. What is really good, and that's probably of the overhauls I've played in the vanilla, this seems to get the Skaven just about right, I would say, because by Jove, these Skaven Spears and Skaven Spears just disappear. As soon as they start using units, as soon as they hit a certain bit, they're off. Don't even need to get franked, they're out of there. The leadership is so bad, and as you can see, it's 34. But they come back, and then you got this cool little mechanic. And I've never played the tabletop version of Fantasy Warbound Battles, but as far as I can see, this is exactly what they did. The Skaven would hold them down, use a few units, run away like Skaven do, and then come back. And this overhaul does that particular mechanic proud. It really does. So you really feel like you're running a Skaven army. And when you fight against them, as I think I mentioned in one of my campaigns, I fought the Dwarfs. Skaven was surrounding me and they just kept striking because it was an ambush fight, all around me there was a Skaven. And playing against them is pretty horrible if you haven't got enough units. Because they just keep coming, pouring on. You have to break each one and another one comes and another one comes in this. It's pretty horrible game because you're constantly just switching things, trying to counter, getting your missile units free. You can because they're spawning in units. Oh, by the way, the spawning mechanic, they don't die. So they're there. The only way you can kill them and get them off the battle is by killing them, which is very, very good if you're Skaven. Very bad if you're everybody else, because you get some really good units. I think, if memory serves, that's exactly the same for when you create units. So let's have a quick look at your Skulk here, because I know he's got Vermintide. Yeah, see, they don't degrade at all. Now, I've always liked that mechanic. I think that's right. If you summoned, I know why they did it. They obviously, like for vanilla settings, they obviously did it for balancing purposes. And they definitely SFO changed it. Can't remember off the top of my head if the others changed it. But I prefer it that when you summon a unit, it's there until it dies. You have to kill it. I think that's more in keeping with the game. I understand that you could make the argument that it's magical, so the magic is draining away, so they're going to die naturally. But they're not created. That makes more sense for zombies, I would say, but not for the Skaven. So I like that. And I have to admit, I don't know what happened to the vampire units. Thinking about it, I fought the vampire coast a couple of times. Can't remember off the top of my head. I don't think they did any summoning. So anyway, back to this campaign. So like I said, this is Midwing. So this is your Skulk. He's level 9 now, I believe. Yeah, he's level 9. So I have a full round of Skaven Slaves. Then I have these as my killing. Plague Monks are really, really effective at it. And then some Combat Spears for extra protection. These are horrifically devastating, as they should be. Much like the equivalent of the Dwarfs. And then you got some Swingers. These are pretty weak, to be fair. They have no AP at all, I don't think. They have 1. By sheer amount, like 200 stones come out your head. You're not going to have a good day about it, but they're very irritating because you have to really pick your targets really well, which is what the nature of this mod, I would say. Rat Ogres, already explained about them. Rat Ogres are just great cavalry-esque units. pretty cool craftboats. Don't suffer the problems I have with cannons, because obviously they're yobbing the rocks over, like the trebuchet in Bretonnia. So no problems there. Really effective, always effective. I do like a pretty cool catapult. So that is where we stand. So it's an interesting campaign. I've really enjoyed this gaming campaign, and I've had a lot of fights in this campaign. So many. And as I mentioned right at the start, for additional forces, there's no upkeep problem. There's no plus 2% upkeep, or whatever it's called. Does it say here? Yeah, army upkeep increases. Yeah. So there's none of that. So I can run as long as I've got the finances, I can run as many as I like. And that suits this gaming campaign so well because they rely on overwhelming numbers. They have to have overwhelming numbers because their units are so bad. Even the elite units are pretty bad. So the best unit is probably the Storm Vermin. So let's have a quick look at Storm Vermin. Just to point it out. Where are they? There they are. So there you go. So that's the Proax. So that's the attacking version. They've got good armour. Mean defense is 30. Really low. So what's the defensive ones like? 50. Now, as you've seen, the Dwarfs have got 90 and things like that. They need numbers. They need to surround the enemy, which they're very good at. From the spawns, and that is the best way to deal with them. So it's just to surround them. It's very scary for me, and I really like how this mod has done it. I think it's one of the best ways I've seen. I feel. I think SFO have got it good, but SFO have gone the high unit model count instead. Like they got, I think, basic scheme and saves are 280. Well, these are about 200, and this one feels a bit better, but I think it's personal preference. Like all the overhauls. But I do like how the overhaul runs this particular scathing campaign. Right, I've prattled on too much now, so I'm going to end the video here. So if you've made it through from the start to finish to this point, congratulations, because that's quite an achievement in itself. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.